Mark, pulse check here.
This is not a good pick. I mean, best of luck to Jurgen. Everything he can do at the NFL level. Hope he has a Hall of Fame career taking over for Jason Kelce one day. This is not the right pick for this given point in time. Time to be miserable.
Okay, well, now I'm starting to see unconfirmed rumors about the Eagles that is not them trading back, but them potentially taking an offensive lineman.
Well,
how do you feel about this?
Now, I could see that. Now, this is the one place where I could see it.
Okay.
I know that there were some sinners. They don't think Jason Kelce is going to play that much longer.
Right.
So they could be really high on one of these centers, and they go out and they grab him. That's the place where I could see. But where else would you go? You've got really 2 Pro Bowl level offensive tackles. So I can't see them getting an offensive tackle. But maybe at the center position where, Jason has been talking that, he's not going to play that much longer.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they move there. They make a move there. But I think that they're going to do something defensively because they have needs on the defensive side.
What do you want them to do?
Cornerback.
What do you want them to do right now? Do you want them to take Dean? I want them to take Dean.
Yes. Why would they
want
not?
them to take
Why do they continue to ignore that position?
We're 3 for 3. We're
yes.
3 for 3.
I will say I'll agree with that.
I am now more convinced they're going to take a tackle. Like that. That's where I see this going on.
But they're not
no. There will not be a Cowboys fan staring at me, putting the bad juju in my direction. There is a Cowboys fan standing behind the set, and he's staring at me. And I don't like it one bit. And this is not comfortable.
Yeah, but the thing I think that they are going to get defense though. I don't think they're going to get an offensive lineman.
The thing is, if they don't take a defensive player, does that mean that Howie has something else up his sleeve with maybe an existing player, free agency? I don't know. What else could they do aside from the Honey Badger? What can they do?
It could be something that way where they're really high on the guy they're drafting. But it could be something where he sees where they know that they've got some free agents that they're going to be able to sign. But it's got to be something. I mean, like this whole thing with A.J. Brown. Remember, he didn't get the wide receiver, but he did make the move. To get a wide receiver at A.J. Brown, whereas during the offseason, we went through the whole offseason, no veteran wide receiver. There are different people that they talked to and they were able to, think about making moves with, but they weren't able to get a veteran wide receiver. But then they come out and they make the move and grab A.J. Brown, a veteran wide receiver who's only 24 years old, who's a Pro Bowl level wide receiver. They were able to do that. So you never know. You never know, but I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do. But I think they're going to make a move on the defense. Yeah. It'll be a defensive move. It'll be a cornerback or an edge rusher.
If it's not,
I'm blaming Cowboys fan guy right there. That's who I'm blaming.
Cowboys fan is over here taunting us, but they took an offensive lineman in the first round. So
their offensive line is old.
True. Very true. I'm trying to think this guy's over here taunting us.
They've had a lot of injuries. But if we look at the cornerbacks, some of these. I think the
Marcus
kid
Jones,
from Nebraska.
Yeah, Houston, Marcus Jones, the guy you were talking about earlier, but yeah, the kid from Nebraska as well, still there. Mississippi State has a kid as well, Martin Emerson, but he's probably a third rounder, maybe a fourth rounder. So that would be that reach position that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, but then we look at the whole thing with edge rusher.
Well,
that they could grab.
Mark, can I just ask you this because I don't know how much time
Please,
I have.
Yes, distract me from what could be happening.
If it happens to be an offensive player,
yes.
What are you going to do? I'm concerned. Are you is the espresso okay? Are we okay?
I'm going to walk over.
Is the laptop okay?
I'm going to walk across. No. I'm not. I don't break stuff. Not anymore. I've grown up. But I will go over to whatever Topgolf section is open here at Topgolf, whatever little stall is open, and I will just drive the hell terribly because I'm not a good golfer. But I'll just get the anger out that way with a driver, probably on a golf ball for the record.
Okay.
And then I'll probably mosey on over to the bar.
Now they really already have one of the best, if not the best, offensive lines in the league. They already have that. But you could always get younger.
Sure, you lost Brandon Brooks, but you still have guys that can fill that role. Obviously, the only concern, just going in the dark recesses of my mind where I'm living right now, is what do we know about Lane Johnson and his future? Because he played next to Brandon Brooks, who I think called it a career kind of early.
Like 31. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. But it seems like, I mean, he loves the game. It just depends on how long does he plan on playing.
They do have young guys. Jack Driscoll can obviously play the tackle position. Jordan Mailata is still a young guy.
Yeah.
They still have Andre Dillard.
That's why
on this
I
list.
really don't see them making the move on the offensive line. They just seem like they're so strong there. Even if you lose Jason Kelsey, but that's the one position where if you had a marquee center that you're putting in there. Now, the whole Landon Dickerson pick last year, some people were down on that until he got on the field and started playing, and they realized they got the best left side of the offensive line, with Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson, Mailata at left tackle, Dickerson at left guard. They got the best left side in the NFL. They ran behind those guys all year long, and they're a dominating side that's going to be there for years to come. So the Dickerson move, a lot of people weren't crazy about it.
Yeah, but that paid out.
But it paid out. So, and you figure if you get a dominating player, a player, that's a great player, let's say it's the center position, and you know he's going to be a great center for years to come because a lot of times those guys play a long time. So if you get in there and you know that at some point, Jason is going to move on, you make that move. But they got to do something at the cornerback. And if they don't do it this year, then they might have to wait the next year. But the cornerback position, you got to have somebody there that can play man-to-man.
Yeah.
Can't play zone all the time.
Cam Jurgens, center, Nebraska.
I told you. That's they want him to replace Jason Kelsey.
And there's my boy, Jamie, Philly sports guy. Mark, pulse check here.
This is not a good pick. I mean, best of luck to Jurgen. Everything he could do at the NFL level. Hope he has a Hall of Fame career taking over for Jason Kelsey one day. This is not the right pick for this given point in time. This is not the right pick. When you have a guy like the Kobe Dean who's available.
You had a linebacker.
But he's not going to play.
There.
Why am I going to take a guy who's not going to play? The Kobe Dean starts tomorrow. This guy's not going to be playing behind Jason Kelsey, not in the near future, certainly not this year. You have the opportunity to go out there and get better right now with a guy that starts immediately. You already took a guy who's going to take some grooming, who I like, who I think has a huge upside in the first round in what you got there in Jordan Davis. But you're going to take another guy who's now going to be groomed behind Jason Kelsey. Push comes to shove, you have guys that can step in there at the center position and fill in for Jason Kelsey, whether that's in a long-term thing, if they want to train a guy like Landon Dickerson to take over that spot, a guy who nobody's crazy about, I get it, and Isaac Seumalo. You want to go out and maybe get a guy like Nate Herbig to be your center for a couple of games if need be. But Jason Kelsey's still a very durable, very good center in the NFL.
I want to share Football Kelly tweeted an interesting philosophy. She said, Stalin gets what he wants. That's the rule. So was it Jeff Stalin saying, "Get me this guy"?
I don't think it was him pressing. They thought that this guy is a marquee guy, and they had said some things earlier. They're talking about him. They know that Jason Kelsey is getting near the end, and they think that he's that good. But why is everybody else down on the Kobe Dean? It's not just the Eagles,
right? It's everybody else.
I mean, you got the whole league. The Kobe Dean is the guy. That what they're basically saying is that he was able to float around and make all the plays he was making because he was behind a Pro Bowl defensive line. And they've had at least three, picked off that defensive line already in this draft. So it's not just the Eagles making that assumption or making that evaluation of Nakobe Dean. It's the rest of the league.
Right.
Now, he could come out and prove them all wrong. If he does that, then, the Eagles could use a marquee linebacker. They could have used one, but obviously they don't think that Kobe Dean is that guy.
Here's what
not only do the Eagles they don't believe that, but the rest of the league doesn't believe that. He's still on the board.
The Eagles are about to, in any pictures of you they have in their history of Nova, they're going to change your position to safety. They're not even going to have linebacker. They won't even acknowledge the position anymore. They had a guy sitting right there that helps them win immediately. This solidifies the idea that the Eagles do not value that position. Yeah. And you can make all the argument in the world about Kobe Dean falling. So did Jurgens. It wasn't like he was going in the first round.
The Kobe Dean, okay, he's still there. The whole league nobody has drafted him. Okay? And it has to be now. If you look at the guys that have been picked, they picked three guys off their defensive line. And they've had these great players where if you're playing behind these guys, nobody's getting to the linebackers. Guys get to the linebackers in the NFL. And so obviously they think his size, and that's the thing, his size. We know that's what we saw with Marcus Jones. Nakobe Dean is a little guy. He's not 6 foot. He's not 6 foot, Mark. He's too short. And that's what the NFL, they basically have said.
Too short, but him aside, weren't there other defensive players? Like, what is the mindset in choosing an offensive lineman here? That's what I can't wrap my mind around.
They
into probably the one area that the Eagles always excel at.
But they believe that you've got to address the offensive and defensive line. You always want to be best there. And if you are best there, it can make up for the guys that play in back of them. And really, Georgia, with the fact that they've had 3 guys drafted off their defensive line, they shows that was the key to their defense. And that's why Nakobe Dean, he's still on the board, because most people say you got a great defensive line, your linebackers don't have to be great, because there's nobody going to be getting off to them, so they'll be able to roam free and make tackles, where if they had to fight off a block, and they don't think that Nakobe Dean can fight off blocks. He didn't have to at Georgia. In the NFL, you got to fight off blocks.
He's going to be playing against men. Right, I understand.
You can't say this is just Howie, though.
Right. Well, no, obviously he's late in the second round. Yeah, I get it.
You want to single out Howie. Say, Howie made this one. It wasn't Howie is not the only one that made this move. He's still on the board. So 32 other GMs said no to Nakobe Dean.
Right, but not 32 other GMs.
Or not yet. They said not yet.
But also 32 other GMs don't have the same needs that could also match up with what was best available at that time, like the Eagles. See, my biggest problem with this is that I believe there are better players on the guys that can help you right now. There are better players available on the board to help you this year. This guy is going to be put aside. Like Ajabo is going to be put aside for the year because of an injury. This guy's going to be put aside because he's got somebody who's a Hall of Famer in front of him. Yeah, exactly. This is not a need of position right now. This is obviously somebody they see can help you next year or down the line.
But do you think that has something to do with it? Jason Kelce is probably in his last year. They want to get someone young in to learn from Kelce while they can.
But still,
he won't always be there.
Probably done.
Still don't support it. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around the logic here.
Seeing Jason Kelce react to getting A.J. Brown last night, that does not look like a guy that's done anytime soon.
Right.
Now, I'll bet you this kid can play some guard, too, if they need him to.
He could probably be versatile. Yeah, he played tight end. I know he played tight end a little bit.
Guard. So he could play some next year, because really Dickerson last year was drafted. A lot of people thought he was going to play center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He wound up starting at left guard. It was the key part of the team. It's really the key reason they made the playoffs, because they were able to run last year behind Lane Dickerson and Jordan Mailata on the team's left side. Of course, at center, you had, Jason Kelce. So they were able to run that side, and that's the reason they made the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs because of the play of Jalen Hurts or because of the play of their defense. They made the playoffs because they had the best running game in the NFL, and that was because of their offensive line. Now, they're going to add to this. This kid could wind up playing some guard now and then eventually slide over and play center.
But let me ask you, because I started asking you this before, and then I think a pick came in. You played linebacker for the Eagles.
Correct, yes.
Why do they refuse to acknowledge that position exists? Okay. And they have now for years.
Well, they have, and I would like to see them address it more. But the reason they say that is because that is a dependent position. And when I say dependent, it means that if you've got great people up in front of them, your linebackers don't have to be as good. Because if you got great people up front, that's more important than linebackers. And then you kind of got to say, well, they drafted Michael Kendricks. They drafted him in the second round. He helped them win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. So they did get him in the second round. But you have to have quality people up front. And if you're winning the battle up front, your linebackers are going to be able to do their job, even if they're not great. It's like having a great offensive line. You don't need great running backs. If you got a great offensive line, you're going to gain yardage. Like the Eagles this past year, they had really I think one of the best running games in the league, even though they don't have great running backs, but their offensive line plays great.
Yeah.
So that's the thinking. I know that people might not be happy with this pick. And you're thinking about Nakobe Dean.
That was perfectly timed eye contact. People might not be happy. Mark, tell me what's on your mind. What get it all out.
I for the life of me, I can't understand why there, to me at least, is a clear-cut guy that comes in here and is an upgrade over what you have already, and he fell to you. I mean, for all the people that want to talk about Howie Roseman wants to be the smartest guy in the room, and I know we talked about after the first round about how you can't force things in the draft. This is something that fell in your lap.
Mm-hmm.
This is a situation for Howie Roseman where you better be right. And if you're going to create all the good vibes he did yesterday by making all the right moves, I give him every credit in the world for what he was able to do in the first round. Good for you, Howie. This second round, I feel like it's botched.
Okay, now
I don't get this. I'm not devaluing the offensive line and what the value it means to a team. That'd be a very hypocritical thing for me to say after praising Jordan Davis and getting that pick for going defensive line.
Yeah.
But the fact that they go for backup and you don't even know when he's going to be playing.
Well, no, that's not true. See, because
but they like Landon Dickerson.
Landon Dickerson last year was drafted as a backup.
Yeah, but he was also coming off a lot of injuries.
No, but he was drafted as a backup.
Mm-hmm.
Same way as you're talking about with this young fella this year. He wound up starting, and he was one of the main reasons they went to the playoffs because they were able to run behind that left side of their offensive line with, Jordan Mailata, who was drafted in the 7th round. And you had him next to Lane Dickerson. They ran behind that side all the time. They weren't running behind their right side. They were running behind that left side because they are big and they are physical. Now, this kid that they drafted, the kid that's going to play, he played center, but he could wind up playing guard too because Dickerson played center in college, wound up playing guard last year. And they have no plans of moving him because that's the strongest part of their offensive line now. So I'm leaving the door open that maybe he winds up playing right guard this next year or something. That might be the case. That
maybe
might
linebacker.
Because Nate Herbig really probably is the weakest part, I think,
yes,
of their offensive line.
So
I could see them moving him over, having him start out. He plays right guard. Then he slides over when Jason Kelsey goes, and he plays center. Now, if he's a great offensive lineman, they made the right move. I don't care. They made the right move. If he's not, now last year with Dickerson, even though a lot of people didn't like the move.
But they didn't like it because we thought he wasn't going to play because he was injured last year. And then he worked out. But last year I felt Dickerson still he filled more team needs where this, I don't feel, Mark, I don't know if you agree or disagree, fills a need or was even the best player available.
You felt like you were getting good value because of the injuries, which is why he was in the second round.
Yeah.
This feels like a guy that is like a reach for a backup center. Who reaches for a backup center in the second round? Howie Roseman does. You know why? Because he wants to kill all the good mojo from yesterday. That's why. But I can't get over this. Like I was saying earlier, it feels like everything was going so great yesterday. So sooner or later, it was going to come to an end. I just don't see why this is the good pick. You could see why Landon Dickerson is the good pick because you almost feel like it's the draft and stash type of situation. Yeah. Same way you felt like it was Sidney Jones. And obviously Landon Dickerson is the much huger, better upside and better pick than Sidney Jones ever was. We know that. But this is the type of situation where this guy could have gone maybe in the 3rd round, depending on what you read, depending on what you believe. And you have a guy like Jacoby Dean who fell in your lap, and you're like, no, I'm good. Linebackers, what are they?
What's a linebacker?
And you're good from this point on as far as that goes. Now, as far as the rest of this draft goes and what the Eagles could go, as far as helping out their defense, which they will still need to do, this is looking more and more likely. I know some people are saying this in our chat as well, that it could be a situation where they still go out there and get Honey Badger to be your starting safety.
Yeah, but that still doesn't fix the cornerback issue
no,
or the linebacker
it still doesn't.
issue.
But like I said, Jurgens played tight end for a heartbeat in college.
I am shocked that they made the move. I'm trying to kind of give them a pass in some ways because I don't know.
I think we're all trying to make sense of it in real time right
because
now.
because you really wonder
working
why they did it. The thing with Jacoby Dean, obviously a lot of other people are down on him about something, and it's probably, like I said, it's probably his height.
Right.
But he's still there. He's still available.
He's still there, but it still is the, needs best player available, doesn't fit any of the boxes. That's a little bit confusing to me. So as we have a few minutes left in this draft special, well, what grade would you guys give this second round, Mark? I'm scared to even ask. Is it an F? Is it a fail? Complete fail?
Today, fail.
Yes,
like, look,
just today.
I don't want to make it look like I'm piling on to a kid in Cam Jurgens who might have a very promising NFL career in front of him.
Amen.
Look, Jalen Hurts is your starting quarterback. He was drafted to be a backup in the second round. That was after you gave a $150 million contract to Carson Wentz. business-wise, even football-wise, that's stupid. It was a stupid pick. It was a stupid move.
Now, see,
it ended up working out for him, and now he's the starting quarterback.
But that wasn't a stupid move, though. If you think the quarterback was good enough, it wasn't a stupid move.
Well, why would I think
because there's nothing
I
more
thought the other guy
important
was
than
good.
the quarterback position.
Well, true, but I already gave $150 million to a guy I thought was the future.
But the thing is, the guy you gave the money to was injury prone.
Yes, he was. But then why'd you give him the money?
Well, he was injury prone, but still, you thought he was a quality quarterback. But you need talent behind him.
Right.
But he was an injury prone quarterback. You needed to have a starting quarterback. The only reason the Eagles have a Super Bowl title is because they had an outstanding backup behind of Carson Wentz.
Absolutely.
The only reason they have a Super Bowl title. So it is an important position, especially if you have a quarterback that's injury prone, which Carson Wentz shown that he's injury prone.
All right.
So that's why I'm just trying not to just dump on this pick. I don't understand it. I don't understand why they made this move, though, because defense was where they have needs.
Yeah.
They have more needs on defense. They have one of the best offensive line, if not the best, offensive line in the NFL.
So
Jason Kelsey
why not
is,
make it stronger
Wait,
10 years from
well,
now?
Jason Kelsey is going to play this next year.
Yeah.
So you're not really drafting him somebody to step in right away and play. So that's why I can't say I do not understand this pick. But like I said, I'm trying to. That's why I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because of what they did yesterday. But I don't understand this pick.
You were just selling me on it. Like
Well,
I almost started to like the pick a second ago.
I'm trying to look at the positive side of it. To say,
We're all working through it in real time.
But when I
truly.
think about it, I don't understand why you're going to dress the offensive line now when you got clear needs on defense. Clearly, you need a cornerback. You need a better pass rush, especially coming from outside. The guys you have out there, Derek Barnett is not good enough. He's proven that, 2 sacks, he's not good enough. Brandon Graham he's long in the tooth. We don't even know he's going to be able to come back from that Achilles tear he had. So we can't not trust Brandon Graham. So I could have seen them addressed in the edge rusher, cornerback edge rusher, something there. Or let's say you do go and get Nakobe Dean. But obviously, they didn't feel good about it. But to draft the offensive line, the strongest part of your team, the offensive line is the strongest part of this football team. So I do not understand why they did that. Howie, tried to give you a break, man.
You were doing so well. You gave us 24 hours of
but
happiness.
I don't
and
understand
you took it away.
But, he had a great first day. I don't know about the second day, Howie. I'm sorry, man. I can't. I'm not happy with the second day because I don't see why you're drafting offensive line, a guy that is going to be backing up this year.
I think I got
why?
I think I got it. Howie Roseman hates Jason Kelsey. I think that's what it is. He just wants to push him out, and he's getting way too much attention, way too much love. Howie's not getting that love. He's always trying to get rid of Jason Kelsey. That's the only way it makes sense to me. That's the only way it makes sense.
It checks out for sure.
And if they win a Super Bowl with Jurgens, you're going to see Howie Roseman in a mummer outfit. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think there's justification for this. I think you can always say, oh, you got to build the offensive line. You got to have depth. Sure you do. Well, that's why you took guys like Landon Dickerson. That's why you took guys like Jack Driscoll. That's why you still have Nate Herbig. That's why you still have Isaac Seumalo. But for me, I
forgot.
For the life of me, I don't see why this is the pick in the second round.
I can't say. And one thing that bothered me, I look and read a little bit about the kid. I see undersized. I don't like hearing.
Oh,
undersized.
now he really hates Jason
boy,
Kelsey.
no.
We don't room for 2 undersized centers.
I don't like undersized, but obviously they saw things maybe in him that they saw in Kelsey because Kelsey is been at Hall of Fame level type of center, and he's been undersized all these years. He's a great athlete and everything, and they obviously saw some of those things in this kid that they drafted. But they have needs at the cornerback position. They have needs at the edge rusher position,
Yeah.
So
what do they do third round now? We got one pick.
Well, I think you're going to address one of those needs.
Can you address it for an immediate impact player, though, in a third round selection?
I mean, it's you don't see it a lot, but I think you can if you got a guy, if you grab the right player. But but the fact that they would grab a center in the second round, that's a shocker to me. Because I definitely thought they were going to address their defense.
Trade capital?
No, that's not. No,
I'm just trying to make sense.
I think we tried. It's impossible.
Where you would have another team that wanted them, and you draft him for them, and then you trade him to them. I don't see that happening in the second round. Maybe the first round.
Yeah.
But I don't see that. It's going to take a while for me to understand this because I don't understand it.
For words.
And here I was saying that there's nothing Howie could do that really mess up everything. But I'm not feeling good about this pick, Howie. I'm not feeling good about it. Why?
I feel like I have watched Marc go through every stage of grief, and now he's happy. But like, I don't know.
I think the proper term is slap happy.
Yeah. There you go.
Everything was just going in the right direction.
Flabbergasted.
And Howie's like, "What did you think you were going to get? Like everything good for me?"
Right,
Like, pretty much that's how it feels. Now again, you could always justify getting more depth on the offensive line, but I just think this is a situation where that couldn't be. Now, I will say, as the draft continues, as we continue to dissect this with the Eagles, you look at now a total of whatever pick we're on right now, because we've been talking about this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other picks that have gone off the board that still have not taken the Kobe Dean. So that's another thing. They weren't going to take another wide receiver. There was a run on wide receivers here. They weren't going to take another tight end. Sam Williams went off the board from Ole Miss as an outside linebacker. But again, we now have ironclad proof that the Eagles don't give a damn about linebacker.
Right.
So that's not going to be something that's going to turn their heads, unfortunately.
But if you have a great defensive line, now, see, in fairness to the Eagles, a few years ago they won the Super Bowl with this formula.
Mm-hmm.
Now they did have a guy there they drafted in the second round in Michael Kendricks.
Right.
But with their formula, they won a Super Bowl
with an MVP quarterback and then a hell of a backup.
Well, okay. Well, they won with their formula, which is they address the quarterback position,
defensive and offensive line,
defensive line, and
but our offensive line is already good. I think that's the confusing part.
I agree.
Yeah.
But they're addressing it, and they're going to have more depth. Jason Kelce is not going to play that long, so maybe that's why they do that, because this kid sounds like Jason Kelce. He's very athletic center, who's very quick, and he used to play linebacker. And now he's playing center, but he's...
Wait, you play linebacker or tight end? I feel like I'm getting so many
he played both. He played both, I think.
Okay.
And he's
versatile.
He's versatile. He's got quick feet. And that sounds like Jason Kelce, a very athletic center. So maybe that's the reason they pick him. They're picking Jason's replacement. They got to explain... Howie, hey, you guys are going to have to explain this to me, because... you didn't address the defense with this pick. So.
Oh my God, Marc.
But I'm willing to listen.
Head in hand.
Okay.
What's going on?
This is whatever I'm about to tell you. This is all Howie Roseman's fault.
Oh no.
According to Sham Sharani, just to break in some basketball news real quick for the Philadelphia fan base, Joel Embiid suffered a right orbital fracture and a mild concussion in the series clinching game 6 win over Toronto. He will be listed as out, and there's no timetable for his return. This is all because Howie didn't take the Kobe Dean.
Now you're really going to go down.
Yeah, I'm in a rabbit hole.
Philly sports scenario. We had the best day ever yesterday. Philly Sixers win. Yeah. Howie crushes the draft, and now this, like, really just not dropping bombs.
I don't understand it, but
I am in shock by that news. I'm gonna have to unpack that one later, guys. We only have a couple minutes left, so closing thoughts on the draft. Let's put the Joel Embiid news to the side for now. Marc, let's start with you. Keeping in mind what happened in the first round.
Yeah. Oh.
What is the grade now? Because it was an A+.
Oh, today's a new day. Today, in all honesty, is a failure. It's an F. You had guys fall close to you, and you didn't have the draft capital to be able to move up and get it. Jalen Reagor is still on the squad. Andre Dillard, for a second straight draft where he was rumored to be moved, still on the squad. Gardner Minshew still on the squad. You had opportunities, I feel, to move up to get guys like Brisker, for instance, who only went a couple of spots in front of you. That could have been a changer on your defense, and you didn't do it. This is a failure by Howie Roseman. You took depth in the second round, and not even a guy that you could look at like a Landon Dickerson that always hurt. You're not going to get much from him. Anything you get is a plus. This is not that type of situation when it comes to the pick they made with Jurgens. I wish him all the success. I hope he's a great NFL player, but just schematically, this is a bad move by Howie Roseman.
Garry?
F+.
Well, right now, the first day, I still want to see Jordan Davis developed into the type of NFL inside rusher, a defensive tackle who can get to the quarterback. We know that he can stop the run, but I look at the talent. I saw him run like a 4.7 in the 40-yard dash, even though he's 350 pounds. He's an amazing athlete. So I do think that he can be transformed into that pass rusher inside that the Eagles need. And I think he can be a controller inside. And that's the reason I think that he was definitely worth everything they did to get him. The next pick, A.J. Brown, I thought that was a great move. You got a starting Pro Bowl level wide receiver right now who's only 24 years old. I love that. So I give him an A the first day, but he gets a C the second day, and therefore they get a B in what they did, because I don't like the Cameron Jurgens. I don't like that move.
All right, just another day in the life of a Philly sports fan, I suppose. Guys, that does it for our second night of the JAKIB Draft Special. Devan Kaney, Marc Farzetta, Garry Cobb. I'm so sorry that we're ending on such a bad note. It was fun.
Up until recently.
We'll see. Maybe it'll all work out.
Hang in there.
But thank you, everyone who tuned in. And I'm going to toss it back over to the JAKIB YouTube channel.